Human rights and corruption, I think, historically have not been seen as very linked, but in reality, actually, if you don't have the rule of law, if you don't have accountability mechanisms in place, if you don't have access to justice, effectively, then there is no remedy for corruption. So I think the link is on the ground. If you look at it in very practical terms, it's very clear. Now, conversely, if you don't have some fundamental freedoms like the freedom of information, freedom of expression, freedom of association, all of these things are only going to exacerbate corruption, because at the end of the day, if people do not have the information, if there's no transparency, then and if they're not able to raise their voice against corruption, then all you're going to have is more corruption. So the link is basically, it moves in both directions. Corruption and human rights are deeply intertwined. Amnesty International is the one which is actually calling for prosecutions and accountability, and people should be brought to justice. So that's not the issue. The issue is that the human in the human rights is very, very important, which means that everybody is innocent until presumed. You cannot work the other way around. So people have to go through a fair process, a fair trial, independent judiciary. If all these things are in place, and there are media freedoms, and people are protected fully, their rights are protected fully, nobody is questioning the need for a proper judicial system. In fact, our problem is the contrary, where people are selectively chosen, their rights are not actually being protected and promoted. That's the issue. So, I mean, in a balanced situation, you have to be able to protect your own citizens as the state, but you can easily do that with full observance of international human rights standards. There's different levels of corruption. There's sort of grand corruption and petty corruption and all of the different types of corruption. But if you look at the majority of the people in the world who are mostly living in poverty, if those people actually knew what benefits and services are supposed to reach them, and if they actually had a right to participate and they had a voice, there would be much less corruption. So what Amnesty International can absolutely do, and it's really not, I mean, Amnesty International is a membership movement with 2.8 million people, and it's a human rights movement which can help make a real difference by mobilizing people, making them aware of their rights and claiming them, and through that fighting corruption. I think the fundamental problem is that the way in which we are organized, whether it be governments or civil society or people who are educated, they divide life into all these categories. We have all these sectors: development, human rights, governance, anti-corruption, etc. But if you actually look at it from the other way around, from the point of view of the lives of ordinary people, their life is not divided into these sectors. So if you turn the telescope around and if you organize things from the lives of people, then we're going to have no barriers. So I think that's a challenge for us, to stop thinking in silos.